So with the departure of Arne Slot, very, very imminent, by the way, I think there are a couple of things with the incoming manager, and I think it's looking like it's Xabi Alonso that questions have to be asked, really. And before we start, just asking you guys like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment. Love your guys' comments, and let's see if we can get this to 400 subscribers. So the first question that the incoming manager, which is projected to be Xabi Alonso, the first one is, what exactly can you do to uplift the culture? Now, we understand that to go right behind Jurgen Klopp, who has been a tower of strength for the Liverpool community, the city, the football club, the organization overall, entirely, it's difficult. But Arne Slot kind of coming up literally right after him and then winning the Premier League is super great. But one of the things that Jurgen Klopp did was to kind of integrate himself into a culture, into the Liverpool fraternity or the lifestyle. And one of the hardest things that you can do as a manager is to understand the culture, adapt, and allow persons to feel or understand the real you, in a sense, without, being super personal. And I think Xabi Alonso kind of ticks that box. I think he does tick that box because he has played with Liverpool before and knows what the culture is like. This is more of a family kind of organization, but it's also a change in the mindset and a different generation entirely. And what has happened with Arne Slot is that, yes, he's won the Premier League and came close to winning the Carabao Cup, but this season, with all the transfer that has happened, he has kind of isolated himself from the culture, the city, the Liverpool kind of embrace, so to speak. No, it's not his fault. That's his personality. He's more of an isolated person. But I think you have one of the main things when you're selecting a manager, and it's not just based off emotion, because the intangibles aren't really quite measured or at a particular level that you can measure it. But it's important to note that Xabi Alonso has to get it right culturally with the city, with the fan base, and then with the organization. No, you can win over the hearts because you've played there before. I don't think he understood Real Madrid's culture, even though he played there. And that's a question that I think needs to be answered. Can you adapt to the culture of Liverpool? It's a different time. A lot of infrastructure has been erected. A lot of persons who you thought were there are not there anymore. The entire faculty is different. The fan base is different. What can you do to build on what Jurgen Klopp has done in terms of getting this city and this organization, this club, riled up and come back to its glory? Even though Arne Slot did win the Premier League, you have to now kind of rebuild that and rebuild the trust of the fan base, because all eyes, if it's him, will be on him and what he can do outside of being tactically astute, which I think he is. But a lot of questions persons ask that, especially seeing what happened with Real Madrid. But the next question, number 2, is his presence, or will his presence be felt at Liverpool? We understand exactly what had happened at Real Madrid. There are a lot of rumors and reports. There was a bust-up between player management. There was a bust-up between management and CEO with Florentino Perez. There was a lot of issues regarding management and the agents, and it's a number of things. And I think what Xabi Alonso, and my question is, can his presence inspire those around him to do better? Because one of the most important things when you're taking over a huge club like Liverpool or Real Madrid or Manchester United or City, whichever big top club it is in Europe, your presence has to be felt. And unfortunately for Arne Slot, even though he did win the Premier League, I don't think, and person will say it's because of Jurgen Klopp team, I don't think his presence was fully felt. One of the things, whether you argue or we agree or disagree, Jose Mourinho's presence was felt in every single club that he went, whether it is toxic or positive. It was felt. At Manchester United, they won the Europa League. They won, I think, the Carabao Cup, if my memory serves me right, or the FA Cup. But his presence was felt. Players, whether he had disputes with players, yes or no, they had to respect him. Same thing with Pep Guardiola, Syria winner. They had to respect him. Jurgen Klopp, the same thing, and the list goes on and on. Players have to see the kind of presence that the manager, whoever it is, You demand my respect. I'm going to show you and you're going to understand it. And if we have an issue, we're going to talk it through. I know it's kind of talking from my neck because I don't really know what happens behind the scenes. But the presence has to be felt on touchline and in the training. Arteta, whether we call him a bottle job or not, those players respect him. Whether the fan base respect him or not, it doesn't matter. Those players respect him. Those players are fighting for him. And that's what is very, very important. At Real Madrid, the culture was so different for him, even though he should have known better. Because Real Madrid is not a culture that is fully tactics oriented. It is more man management oriented, which leads to the first point is you have to be able to adapt to the culture that you are in. The presence, your presence as a manager needs to be felt and needs to be seen not only in games but behind the scenes. Not only behind the scenes in terms of training, but also in how you manage players. Because with this generation, it's more of man management than even tactics. Yes, you're going to know about the 3-5-2 and 3-2-5 in possession and how your out of possession structure is very, very important, very, very key. But you as a manager, your presence has to be known and felt that they're able to respect you, your decision, what your approach is, and what exactly it is that you want them to do, breaking it down. So I think that is very, very important. It comes down to Xabi Alonso, arguably that it's probably him, that he needs to learn and what his presence will be like at Liverpool. Yes, Mohamed Salah is leaving. Virgil van Dijk, I think, is on his last legs. Alisson could be leaving in the summer and probably he's on his last legs. Robertson is leaving this summer as well. So a lot of rebuild and a lot of new faces, which I think is also important because now you're reshaping Liverpool into a better playing team that is able to go against teams on all fronts. Whether that is Carabao Cup, FA Cup, the Premier League and Champions League. That is very, very important. Because what Jurgen Klopp did was that though we had issues and stating how his transfers are not spending money and he was always kind of clingy to his players, didn't want them to go. And kind of to his detriment, it happened in 22-23. Burnout happened. But one of the things that we can never say was that he did not inspire his players enough. He went above and beyond for a lot of them. So I think that is important. That's an intangible, again, that can't be measured. But your presence as a manager needs to be felt. The third point is, what exactly will be your, I would say, outline for developing the talent around you? Jurgen Klopp, whether we believe it or not, developed talent. Though a lot of academy players came through, some of them went to other clubs, didn't work out at Liverpool, but they got what they wanted. One of the things that Jurgen Klopp did was to saw talent, key talent, and try to slowly integrate them into the starting lineup. He did that with Trent. Trent is one of the best footballers in the world. He did that with Curtis Jones, one of the best footballers at Liverpool, right? And so on and so forth. He saw the talents, the Sadio Manes, the gems, the Mohamed Salah, the gems, Roberto Firmino coming in, saw him as a gem and said that we didn't necessarily need a striker, we needed a false nine, and he did more than enough. Same thing with also likes of Andy Robertson when Hull City was relegated, getting him in 2017 in the summer, and look at Andy Robertson now. So it's these kinds of things. Yes, the transfers and yes, the youth talent is very, very important. And I'm hoping for him that he can try to get some of these academy players up and running. One of the things that I'm hoping for, I know it's not cultural in terms of how England does it, but if you look at how Barca La Masia play, I'm not saying that we can get to that level if you really develop and put your all into the talent in your academy pool. One of the things that Barcelona does well is to give a young player a chance and see what his development is like after you give him a chance. Lamine is the best footballer in the world at the age of 19. He had his first appearance in 2023 at 15 years old and had his first appearance at the national level, I think at 16 years old. So what that says to me is that there's a system in place that allows young talent to develop into world beaters. And one of the talents that we have right now is Ria Ongomoa. One of the best, brightest talents that we have, who should be starting, I think, most games over Cody Gakpo. We can agree to disagree. But really of a fact, if we can develop that and hone that in, you can see a lot of things and gems that we didn't know. Trainione is another one that we like to see. Hasn't gotten that kind of place or the minutes that required for him to really kind of push. And of course, that's an ARNE slot. And because of all that has transpired in the league and in the season, it's hard to kind of give him that or allow him that kind of minutes. But really, when he's played pretty good. So give him more. And there are other talents as well that we haven't seen that has been kind of in behind the scenes kind of persons talking about them very largely. So that is a very, very important thing. Your development in the youth, your instillment of your philosophy, your structure in youth, how you grow and groom your young players into world beaters is very, very important as a Liverpool manager, whoever that is. So I think that is very, very important. So those are my 3 points. You guys let me know if there are other things that maybe I missed out on. Let me know. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And hopefully next time we can have another big discussion on what Liverpool's plans are going into the summer. Till next time, guys. Peace.